Thank you very much. Move my stuff out of your way.
Good morning, everyone. Bore da for people who are from Wales and not. I'm Michelle Pengelly, Supportive Care Lead Nurse at Velindre Cancer Centre in Wales. Very proud author of Caring for My Family with Cancer. My colleague here, Kerry Harris, is our Equality and Diversity Manager and the very proud Project Manager of Caring for My Family with Cancer. So what we're hoping to do is just give you a sense of the story behind this story, the series of books that have been written to help support a parent with cancer or grandparent talk to their children about the disease and its treatments. Kerry's going to give you some feedback and I'll just give you a little sense of how we got to where we are. So, take yourself back, those of you who can, to the 1990s, early 1990s, 94. It was the days when I let my hair stay curly before straighteners. And it was when I was a night sister at the Cancer Centre. So this is a regional cancer centre in Cardiff. And at that time, I was given this little piece of homework from Jonathan, and it was from his mother. And I know earlier we talked about that connecting moment and using your heart. And this was my connecting moment and the thing that really triggered my heart as a nurse. And this was Jonathan's mum telling me Jonathan's granddad was diagnosed with cancer at age 51 years old. And his family, out of love and thinking that they were doing the best thing, decided not to have Jonathan visit his granddad in the hospital. Now, bear in mind, they had a wonderful connection together, a wonderful relationship. He saw his granddad 3 times a week. But in those last weeks in hospital, he didn't get to see him at all. And this piece from his homework was written 2 years after his granddad had died. He'd moved on from the death, he'd accepted that, but not the lost opportunity to say goodbye. His words were, "This is my very, very, very sad memory." So his very sad memory was the lost opportunity to spend time with his granddad. And it really triggered something in me, thinking, well, if this is Jonathan's experience and his mum's experience, maybe that's what's happening to other people. And his mum said, you know what, if I could turn back time, I would have Jonathan see his granddad, I would have him visit. But sadly, we can't turn back time. But what we can do is use patients' experience to influence the future and make a difference. So that was mid-1990s, and about the same time, I was working the night shift. I met a lady who was having chemotherapy, and she told me, my children are not visiting me because I don't want them to see the other ill patients. They're little. They will get really bored, and visiting will be a shh, don't do, don't touch type of experience for us. I don't want that. She was back and forth to us for over a year. And so that triggered us to, if you have a look at the pictures on there, we got a family room together in the hospital where children can spend quality time visiting their parents without being troubled by the cancer centre. The picture in the middle is Lewis. He attends a children's bereavement group that I've been involved with. And Lewis came up with the idea of the books Caring for My Family with Cancer. It was the title of the books. He's there with his Welsh rugby hero, Martin Williams. Not so much heroes this year, but we'll say nothing about the rugby. So it was very much, we had invited parents now to bring their children into the cancer centre. We were listening to their stories, listening to their experience. But actually, some of the resources we had weren't really meeting the needs of those parents. So we had a brilliant book for breast cancer, but what about the dad with testicular cancer? What about the granddad with prostate cancer? What about a mum and a dad, a single parent? What about same-sex parents? We didn't really have the right resources for people who were in modern-day families, and that's where the idea for Caring for My Family with Cancer started. And I'll hand you over to Kelly.
As you can tell, I'm the subtle of the two of us. Serendipity sometimes is how these things happen. And it was 3 years ago, I was celebrating a significant birthday, 21. And Michelle was also celebrating a significant birthday. And I had a to-do list of things I wanted to do before I reached that significant birthday. And I'd achieved everything on my list. And we were having lunch and we were talking about that. And Michelle mentioned that there's always something that she wanted to do. And she talked about this idea of the book. And so I went, well, we can do that. That's easy, we can do that. And so we did. And that's basically what happened. Now, I'm an equality and diversity manager, so for me, it was around accessibility. It was around making books that met the needs of the patients that came through our doors. So we looked at how we could do that. And so we developed the first series of books. Now, our first book has a mixed race family because in Cardiff we have a high mixed race community. So we felt that was important to have that in our first book, set the scene right from the start. So the first book is Mum with Cancer and a little girl. Second book, Boy with Cancer, little boy. From there on, we looked at same-sex couples. So we have 2 mums, we have 2 dads. Then we look at single parents. We've got a single mum, we've got a single dad. We're at book 6 at the moment. But we're now developing the next set of books. So we've got 5 planned for the next 12 months. And they're looking at grandparents, and we're looking at more diverse families, again, to meet the needs. When we developed our first book, because I'm all about accessibility, we have that translated in English and Welsh, because we are a bilingual nation, but also in British Sign Language. So we have a video version of our book that's available. And because we have this resource, and we have access to interpretation services, we can quite easily translate into Urdu, Mandarin, and any other language quite quickly, again, to meet the needs of the families that we deal with on a daily basis. And so that was what was really important to us, to make this fully accessible and to make it really about the patients and what they need to help them through a very difficult time. These are some of the organisations that we help with, and you can see I'm the colourful one down in the corner there. And then here we've got, again, a patient story, but this is from a child. So bear with me if technology doesn't work, because I always dread this bit. But here we're going to hear from Lewis. And Lewis had one of our books.
Hello, and I'm Vincent, and these are my favourite TEDs, and my mum really likes them. And in this book here, we have been learning about loads of things. And in this book, it tells us about what happened for my mum. This is my favourite picture because it reminds me of my dad and my mum and me. I think sometimes I'm a bit funny and I think that it looks like me. So I think it's a very funny thing. And in the book, there's a picture of the family sitting down on a sofa.
And do you remember when Mummy had to sit you down and tell you that she had cancer?
Yes, and I remember when my mum sat down with me and told me that she had cancer.
Do you remember some of the things the story told us about the bad medicine Mummy was going to have?
And Mum had chemotherapy and radiotherapy.
And the book explained that, didn't it?
Yeah, the book explained every single thing about it.
And the book told you that the chemotherapy might make Mummy feel sick and tired, and that her hair might fall out. And then Dad and me were quite upset because Mum had to go to the hospital. And this is a picture of the hospital Mummy went to, isn't it?
Yes, and this picture on that page is where I've been. I've been in that hospital with my Mum and Dad.
You have. You've come with Mum. But it's a happy story, isn't it? Because this book lets you know that it's okay for mums and dads to get sick with cancer.
Yes, and these lions are one of my favourites because I like these lions so much, and my mum was very kind to get them from the hospital for me. I really like these TEDs.
So thank you for Velindre for the lions.
Thank you for Velindre for the lions.
And for the lovely book.
And for the lovely book that I have.
It really helped us, didn't it?
It really helped us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, 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 very much.
Just have to say, and really briefly, because we just want to show you a really quick clip of the book.
No kneecapping, please.
Yeah, thank you very, 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 very much. It goes right back to 1994, Jonathan's words. He was very, very, very sad, so the connection is there. So just until we run out of time, we've got 40 seconds. So.
Caring for my family with cancer. This is Lucy's family, Mummy, Daddy and Lucy. They love spending time together and having lots of fun. Lucy's best friend is Molly. They go to school together and enjoy going to each other's houses for tea and sleepovers. One day, Mummy had to go to the hospital to see a doctor. When Mummy and Daddy came home, they seemed worried and wanted to tell Lucy about what happened at the hospital.
You get a sense.